Well, how's it going, guys? Welcome to my channel. Welcome to the stream and another chapter. Working on that guy right there. We're getting into the double-digit chapters now, and yeah, so it's taking longer. What is we working on? Well, it's this guy here. You already know because you've been following this as we go along, right? Right? Yeah. Anyway, guys, we're gonna run the intro, and we'll get started. Okay, guys, we're back, and yeah, we're kind of working on some stuff here. And what are we working on? Well, I think today is going to be a day of testing. As you can see here, sitting on my desk, I've kind of done a little bit of the detail painting on the interior on our center console. I'm kind of got the engine sitting in the engine bay with our engine bay. Yeah, our inner fender wells and everything that's on there. And I've discovered my carburetor, my third carburetor, is kind of hitting my windshield washer motor that's sitting right there. I don't know if that's going to be an issue later. I'll move this a little forward. You can see what I've got going on here. As you can see, the washer motor is actually holding the engine in right now. I'll change the camera so you can see a little bit of the detail here. So yeah, I've got our center console painted up, and yeah, so I've got my windshield wiper motor is hitting my carburetor. I don't know if that's going to be an issue, if the engine needs to go further back. I don't know how thick the radiator is, if that's going to be a problem in getting the rad in. So that's why I'm doing just some testing. Okay, so we have our new spare tire that's going to go in the trunk. That's all painted up, just did that last time, right? That's done. Okay, and just as a comparison to the first one I printed out, this one matches the actual tire size and of the tires in the kit. Grab one of them. This is one of our tires out of the kit, and yeah, that matches. That's a good size. It matches up there. But the size of the rim, oh, that was a good drop. The size of the rim does not match nearly at all. It's much bigger rim size going in there. See? But it fits in the tires, of course. Bingo. So there you go. So yeah, we got much more sidewall on our kit tires, but our rim size matches on that. And this is going to be sitting in the trunk, right? It's going to be in the trunk, so it's going to be sitting somewhere around something like that, in that kind of position. That's where it's going to sit. That's going to be its home. So that's going to be good enough, and that's whatever. I wanted the rim size to match the rims on the cars, and that's why I reprinted it. So that's that. Okay, so that's our little tire scenario. So the bigger tire, this is basically garbage now. It's useless to me. I'm just gonna throw it out. There we go, done. So I got our seats painted up. I did the detail on our vinyl there. Okay, so got some darker brown. So how did I do that? I used my Tamiya brown panel liner, and that's the brown. So did all that. I did that in the back seat also. You see that here. Got some brown stains, darker brown in the tan and everything like that. So yeah, so that is that. So I'm not sure. I wanted to take a look at where let's put these aside here for now, because this is kind of just sitting the way it is. I'm just kind of mocking it up, and we're doing a bit of test fitting to see how this is all going to go together. I wanted to look at getting our door panels in. So you can see I did the same treatment on this with the dark brown, or with the brown stain, and kind of just washed it all over everywhere to thin it out, to get some stain in there, and just to make the detail pop a little bit, right? So looking at the instructions here, we go way back to step number one. Step number one, we have our firewall that's supposed to go in right here. And then we continued on with our little suspension and all that stuff, and all of our steering and all this stuff going on. We get to step 5A, and we're putting our two rim pieces together, and then they tell us not to glue it. Do they mean don't glue the rims together, or don't glue it to the tire? I think they mean don't glue it to the tire. Because obviously your regular hobby glue is not going to really work on rubber or the vinyl, whatever. I don't know if it's real rubber or if it's just vinyl. It's probably just vinyl. But yeah, so that's that. But we've got to do this 4 times. Number 52 going to our main. So let's find those. Get those assembled. I want to get my wheels assembled here. So I believe this is the sprue. I think this is the sprue I'm looking for. Are these number 52? Yes, they are. So these are all number 52. Okay, that's number 52. Get her nubs off. That doesn't sound right, get her nubs off. It sounds like I'm talking about something else. So they're saying in the instructions here, put these two together first. Wow, that's that fit is really terrible. Alternatively, you could put this in here, and then this in here, and we've got a good fit. So I don't think it matters. I think that's going to be the easier way. If I just pull this out now. Put some glue on this tip, on that edge, and then push this in. Or put this in first, then glue on this edge and put that in. I think that's going to be the easier way. And I'm also not going to bother painting this rim on the inside. I'm not going to bother with that. We've got a nice, you know, shiny aluminum rim on this side, but I don't think we need it on the inside. I'm not that concerned about, you know, whether or not that rim is actually supposed to be painted. And I'm actually going to use my thicker glue because the Tamiya Extra Thin, it just has a tendency to start to dry on me before I actually get it applied, or before I actually get contact in there. And I could smear the glue along on the inside here and really make sure that it's in there, but I don't think I need to. I think if I just go in here and get that all the way around here on the inside, try not to touch the tire. I mean, it doesn't matter if I touch the tire. Get that in there and then shove this in here. We've got good contact. Actually, doing this does nothing. You got to get the edge. There we go. Okay, so we've got one tire, one wheel installed in a tire. That's pretty simple enough. And our width of the tire is good in that it's not trying to put any pressure on these to separate the two halves. So that's really good too. I get that a lot in a lot of kit tires. So let's get our other tires out here. 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so you might notice we've got the rough side here. See that rough edge? That's where they had this bracing, this bracing that's on here. That was all on there, and that's all been clipped off. And I don't care about cleaning it up because that's going on the inside here, and that's where it's gonna, now it's all nicely hidden, and it's on the inside and hidden. Yay. And this, of course, is the clean side that you didn't have to touch anything up on, and so there we go. So let's go on all 3. Flip this guy over. Now, if you leave a big one like that, you might want to clean that up, right? Let's clean that one up. You don't want to unnecessarily cause yourself some problems. There we go. Okay, just like that. Alright, so let's get our rims. And glue again on the inside here. Push this in. It really is a loose fit on the tire for the actual rim. It's a loose fit. I think we got a little bit of play. The rear one is tight, but the front is it's a pretty loose fit. I didn't feel any resistance at all. That dropping, it almost just, you know, just drops in there like that. So it's actually harder to get it out than it is to put it in. Okay. There we go. Give it a little bit of press. There we go. Third one done. Okay. And finally, last one here. Done. Okay, so we have our wheels all done. We can put these aside. That part is done. Step 5A is finished. So now I've got a stack of tires, and we can deal with that later. I'm gonna have a sip of my drink. Okay, so later on, we're gonna have to deal with these. Our drum brakes, which we're not installing because I figured that General Lee deserves to have disc brakes, and so I 3D printed some disc brakes. We're gonna have to figure out the hole in the center for that peg that goes through and all that kind of fun stuff and how that's all gonna mount. Okay, so we'll deal with that. That'll be another day. So we'll skip ahead. Now I mentioned our firewall. But our firewall, of course, is now incorporated into our front inner fender wells. So, but what they've done is step number 1, you install the firewall, and then we skip ahead to when we're starting to do the interior to step number 11. We're going to put our pedals right directly on the back side of that firewall. Let's find that firewall. It's in here somewhere. So here's the firewall out of the kit. Alright, so this would be the side, underhood side, where you've got it's a little bit of wiring detail on there that's really whatever. But that's it. And then we flip this over, and they're showing a really unrealistic firewall. It doesn't look like the kit piece at all. It really doesn't look like the kit piece whatsoever. Where's my step number 1? Yeah, it doesn't look like the kit piece whatsoever. It doesn't have that big notch. The kit piece has this huge notch in it, and that's not represented in the diagram at all. And then when we get to that step, we've got, okay, so we've got a hole, but we don't have this little notch. We don't have this notch, but we've got the hole. And in fact, we've got 3 holes. Well, 2 holes are for the frame. I have to determine process of elimination. Okay, so the second 1 hole down here is for part number 110. So is that hole or this hole? Which hole? I gotta find part number 110 to see how big it is, or let's find the pedals. What number are the pedals? Pedals are 102. So let's find 102 and 110. Neither of them are chrome, so it's not going to be on there. Here's 110. So here is our, they're on the same sprue. So 102 is a very tiny little pin on it. That's our pedals. 110 has a bigger hole. So, but I think both would actually fit. I'm just gonna, I don't normally do this. I normally rip this off, but this could fit right there. But if we put that there, then we have this great big hole. And our pedals, which are these guys here, it's hard to get in there with any kind of a nipper. Thanks, guys. Thanks in making this impossible to get in there with nippers. I'm gonna have to cut it with a knife. There. Get rid of that nub out of there. Okay, so we've got that little pin. And if I put it here, that's a humongous hole for it. Or I could put it up here, which would seem a little more proper, but at the same time, the pedal should be almost right on the floor. And so that makes more sense having it in this. But the hole is so huge for that tiny little pin. There's like, it's just a humongous, wow. You guys are just really did a bad job. So that means we're going to do this and put them on this wall and put them in there. But we have to have a look at our floorboard to determine, because we've got this big notch sticking out here, right? See these two notches there? Let's do this. There you go. You can see those two little blocks here and here, even though it's all blurry. There you go. Bing and bang right there. Sitting like that, this is going to sit just about like this. And we get that situation. And so the pedals should sit roughly like that. I think right there is probably a good spot. Just tuck it right up against this little block right there for our clutch and our brake. And then we've got our throttle pedal or gas pedal, whatever you want to say. The accelerator pedal, how about that one, is number 101. We go to that section again. Number 101 is supposed to go to a hole in the floor right beside the transmission tunnel, which of course we don't have a hole in the floor anymore. And I mean, realistically, this pedal is so wide. That is a ridiculously wide gas pedal. It's cool in that they tried to do the detail for the little holes or whatever to make it like a racing pedal, but that is just a ridiculously wide pedal that really should be a lot more narrow. And I need to determine where this is going to go. So if we look at this, we put our pedals right up against that. Our clutch and our brake, we'll just rest them here. Right there. Come on, at least get in somewhere close to where I want you. Okay. Something like that. Our gas pedal should go like here. We really don't have a lot of room, do we? Because it should be beside it, beside our brake. Like that, maybe. I'm definitely going to have to trim off our little peg because there's no hole for the peg, so that's got to go. So it would go like that, but it's sticking up because of the transmission hump. I want it to be down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim this down. Trim this pedal down and make it skinnier. Like this. And this. That's a lot more realistic of a width. And now I can kind of get it. If I just put this little nub on a little tiny bit of an angle, like that, now it kind of matches the angle of our tunnel. I can put it forward like that, and it can be a little more realistic. Yeah. Okay. So I have to get some CA glue because even though the kit pedals are plastic, the firewall is resin, and so I need to have this. I actually have to have this on here so that I get the height of my pedals correct. Because I need to do that. I want to trim off that center peg because it is sticking out just a hair. Because they had it, you know, the plan was to have that peg sticking through a hole. So they had that sticking out just a little bit. I don't want it sticking out. So that's where we're going to go. So let's get some CA glue so I can get this thing glued on there. I'm going to make sure this, our little section here is flat. We've got a couple of little nub marks that need to be filed down. So that surface is flat now. In fact, I think a little bit of an angle would be good. Okay. All right, CA glue. Let's take another sip. Now my drink is done and it won't be knocked over accidentally. There we go. We're going right there. Okay. Now I'm going to add a little more just to make sure we've got good contact. There we go. So our clutch and brake pedal are installed, and I'm going to use a little bit of my accelerator just to make sure they don't move after touching. And that's going to allow me to put a little more glue on there because there's not a lot of contact on that. Let's move this out of the way now. I want to add just a little more in here. So I got a nice good bond. Okay. So now with my pedals in, even though they're a little crooked, that was a bad idea. But that's okay. Now they're straight. They were crooked, now they're straight. Alright, so there's my pedals. So I need to determine exactly where my throttle pedal is going to be glued to the carpet. Now ideally I'd like to maybe put a rod from the firewall out and have our pedal there, but I don't really have that option. Our pedal is just going to have to be glued to the carpet, kind of like this. So ideally, I'd have some kind of a rod behind the pedal to hold it, but I don't have that option. So I'll just hold it here. And once the glue kind of sets a little bit, I can put some more glue in behind it and kind of make a little bit of a brace out of the glue for it. Just got to give it some time here to wait. And remove this. Let's see what happens when I let go. She's staying, yay. Okay, so I'm going to add a little more glue in behind the pedal because right now it's just kind of holding on to some carpet fibers. And that's really the only adhesion we have right now, keeping the pedal in place. Nice big drop in behind it here. There we go. So adding a drop of glue in behind it, a great big drop like that, it's going to basically create a big blob of glue for the pedal to lean up against. And I'm actually going to spray my accelerator on it. And I want my pedal straight. She kind of leaned over a little bit. Okay, so with that on there I can actually add more glue and create more of a big thing for it to stick to. It's already pretty solid there now, much more than it was. Okay. Oops, wrong cap. Cap goes on there. Alright, so there's our pedal put in place, and so these pedals go in right here, and that's not bad, that's pretty good placing. Pretty good. You're going to see that there's some pedals under there now. Okay, that's what we got going on for our pedals. And now, no, it's not very accurate, but we put the seats in, we get the dash in, all that fun stuff, you know, then it's going to look better. Our seats are going to go in right about here-ish, right, something like that, around that spot kind of thing, maybe a little bit back further. I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to test out is we've got a panel that's going to go in the back here. Okay, it's basically the the back part of the trunk, I believe, and that's step number 14. Step number 14, we're going to be putting part number 389. They want it to go across here, but they don't have any definitive spot for it. Okay, so we're going to put our pedals and everything. Let's put that aside because we're done with that for now. And our panel is right here. Okay, so let's get this off the sprue. Now I believe the real deciding factor on where this goes is going to be, because it doesn't go here, it doesn't go up here, we got a gap, it doesn't go here, although it does kind of fit like that. It might actually be supposed to go like this. I don't know. We have this hole in here. If we get our roll bar, number 83, and take number 86 off, 86 is supposed to match up with that little hole in the center of it. So I think if I kind of mock up our little roll cage here, I can determine where that was supposed to meet 86 and see where this is supposed to go in. Okay, so let's take a look. Let's find number 83 and 86, and let's find these guys here. I don't know where they are, so they're probably in the box. It's kind of parts that I haven't really been dealing with yet. I think they're probably here. So we got our roll bar here, and then this is 86. Okay, so that's them. Okay, so here's our roll bar. Our main one, right there. And then number 86 is this guy. Now, because I've got my seat in there, that might actually interfere now. Let's see here. So, this is supposed to mount up, and then this guy is supposed to go in there. Wow, they really did a horrible, horrible job. We've got. Okay, I'm gonna say not terrible, but not the best either. Let's just clean that up. Trim that off. Okay. Now those are supposed to actually just sit on top of these little pegs, which means those pegs are supposed to face backwards. This seat is supposed to go down, or the bar is supposed to go down there. My seat is in the way, but that's okay because we're not supposed to have this bar going across anyway, so I'm going to trim that off. The roll cage in the General Lee is very unique in that it's really only a 2-point roll bar with a cross brace going diagonally like this. So that's going to be like this. Okay. So let's just kind of use some tape and we're going to hold that up. Just put a piece of tape around here. I want it straight up as close as I can get it. It's pretty close, good enough. This guy is supposed to rest on it. There and there. And then go towards the back. And sure enough, look at that. It's going to here. There we go. So that's where basically the end of the trunk is. Or our trunk wall, I guess you could say. Sitting like that. So that's where that's supposed to go. Which, to me, that's perfect. So let's get this off of here. Let's remove my tape. So now that I know that's supposed to go here, the question really lies in what angle should it go at. Now that I know it's supposed to be the back of the trunk, basically can basically sits like this. Like that. Okay, so the other thing that's going to show me is our door panels. Get this off of the sprue. That's our passenger side. Here's our driver's side. If I put this on here as a test fit, where did I put my panel? It fell down. This is cut at an angle rather than straight up and down. They do have kind of this perforation line that's running along on each side. I think that's supposed to guide you in where your panels are supposed to line up. Like that. I could technically put a little glue on there and hold it there. And then this panel would go in like this and line up with the angle, and in theory line up with our door panel and would be perfect. Now our door panels, what I really should do, I really should get in there with a really sharp knife and trim just a hair off of this carpet so the panel can rest on top of our frame. I really should do that because obviously you can tell just by looking at it even on the camera, my cut here is pretty bad. That should be right along there and leave, you know, that thickness of the plastic right in there and rip that carpet off. That's what I really should do. And that's a little tricky to do because, well, I don't have a ruler that's only that short to give me a nice straight line. Maybe I do have something short, but yet straight. I mean, I could take a panel. No, that's too big. I want something that's thin, that's going to fit there, but that's going to be straight. This is straight, and it fits. So I could put a panel in here and put the panel flush up against that, and then that flush up against the panel. There's where I need to cut it. Let's hold this down. Run my knife along there. Okay. And we're going to guess here. All right. Pull that out. Okay, it's easy to pull the carpet. The adhesive doesn't want to come up. But bit by bit we can get it. It's funny, the adhesive on the carpet comes up or wants to stay while the carpet has no problem ripping away from the adhesive. So whatever they use for glue is not the highest quality. But bit by bit, we'll get this carpet off of there. I'm going to do the same to the passenger side. But I won't make you guys suffer through that. Okay, the carpet's gone. I just got to clean up this sticky adhesive on here. Didn't want to come up with the carpet. It's like, hey, I want to stay. You put me down here to stay. Okay, so our carpet has got, I don't know what I got going on there. I think it's some CA glue there. Made the carpet hard there. So there we go. That can fit in there now, and it's relatively straight, and the carpet, and I can actually glue that down now without CA glue. I can glue that to the chassis and leave it. Okay, so I'm going to put some glue down here, and we're going to glue our driver's side panel on after I clean up where my nubs were here, because the Dukes don't need to have nubs rubbing on their butts when they slide into the door. Okay, there's that. So let's use a little extra thin to get this started on here. Let's tip this up here. Get it in place, press down, and use a little extra thin just to get it started. Because once that starts to hold a little bit, we can get it lined up properly. Because it's supposed to line up, it shouldn't really be, like right now it's not sitting at it's sitting at an angle, and it shouldn't be. It should be straight up, right? I might actually wind up having to tape it. I don't know exactly. But she's, you know, this is basically 1980s MPC tooling. And not exactly the straightest stuff. And this keeps on wanting to move on me. I am going to put a piece of tape on it. Because it just keeps on moving, and with all the movement, it's not... movement means not gluing, so as you can tell, it just fell apart on me. And unlike a normal kit, a normal car kit, you know, you've got your dash is going to hold your panels together a lot of times, and we don't even have that with this kit, because our dash is supposed to kind of just go in on its own. I'm going to use a little of my thicker stuff here, if I can open up the frickin' bottle. I'm going to use this as a nice kind of a gap filler in here, because we're not down. How's our straight up and downness? We're a little crooked, so let's bring that out. There we go. So we're straight up and down now. From my perspective, we're pretty much 90 degrees. Go out a little more. There we go. Okay. I'm going to leave the back so that if I need to do any kind of flippy floppy stuff, I'm going to leave that. Okay. All right. And still, of course, there's room for our roll bar. Wherever it wound up, it's over here. It's over here. We still got room. Roll bar can go in. That's the main thing, right? So you can make sure you're not too, make sure that you're straight up. That will actually help if I just take that roll bar in. Take this and just put it in spot and just leave it like that. That'll help keep that panel in line and make it so that it stays straight up and down like it's supposed to, even if I do this. And I might benefit from getting some CA glue in here to do that. I'm not sure, because it doesn't seem to be sitting right down onto the chassis. But anyway, that's that. So we can work on cutting this side off and getting that carpet out and make that little thing. So let's do this. We'll grab this as our little guide, our template. Put that right up against there. Let's get our panel so we get the perfect thickness that we need. Of course, our cage is a little in the way, but that's all right. We're just getting our panel lined up onto the frame here. It doesn't like that. We're right. Our roll cage is in the way. How about that? Let's get our roll cage out of the way here for a sec. I want this lined up there. Roll cage is interfering. Screw you, roll cage. There we go. Let's get that right up against there. There we go. Put this template down. Okay. There's where we need to cut the carpet. Benefits of having a very sharp knife. Brand new blade on my knife, so it cuts through pretty easy. So you can see the kind of a white line there where it's cut through the carpet and my primer, I guess, technically. And I got a little piece of carpet here I need to trim. Okay. I'll start the removal process and get rid of this, and then we'll come back. Okay, so that's all cleaned up now, so we can put our panel in here, and I think I'm going to do the same thing. So she hits on here, so it's like almost like you want it on an angle, but you don't want it on an angle. This one, the cut back here is causing it to have a gap back here at the bottom. Unless I put it like this, but that's not where it is. They've got these perforated lines that you're supposed to line it up with, is what they're saying. But I basically have a choice. I either try and fix this cut or fix this edge. Oh, this actually, I got some flashing down on this edge. Let's clean this up. The flashing could be a problem and a cause. So let's fix the flashing. Like I mentioned before, 1980s tooling causing this thing to not be perfect. And I don't know what about this edge here, but I don't think a little bit of filing is going to hurt it any. Okay, the flashing helped, or getting rid of the flashing did help a little bit, although it's not perfect. And she is more willing to stay upright than the other side was. But like I mentioned before, this is a problem, getting our roll bar to actually sit in here. She doesn't fit, and it's because of these big pegs at the bottom here. Let's get rid of the roll bar here temporarily. The roll bar will help hold it in place, but it can also interfere. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put some tape on it. I'll use a little bit smaller tape here. I'm going to put a piece here. And back here. Get this lined up. There we go. Now I went and cut my carpet a little too much, but that's okay. It's okay. Yeah, let's drop it. Okay, there we go. So this one's pretty good. This one's holding solid now. Let's get some glue on this side. Alright, straight up and down, and she's holding straight up and down, which means we can get rid of the roll bar. And we can focus now on this piece and how it's supposed to go in and line up right like that. Just like so. Just like that. So let's get some glue. Now this area back here is kind of an area that's not ever going to be seen, because it's going to be covered by the deck lid that goes from the back seat to the back. It's going to be covered by the deck lid here. So this little area is never going to be seen. This is just kind of like an open dead area. So really what this is going to be is just my inner trunk panel that you're not really going to see it. And that's just kind of the way it is, right? Add a little more there, and I want to add a little more to this panel back here, just to prevent floppiness. And the capillary action will go to where the glue needs to go. Thank you very much. So there's our panels. There's our door panels in. And if I grab my inner fender wells, we got a good idea. See, this is now interfering with the panel. So I think I'm going to have to notch my panel out to fit this bucket, unless I want a hole if I want a big hole coming through here, then yeah, there's that. So why they made that great big thing, I don't know. I think that might even be an issue with this one. If I were to put this in, yeah, I would have that issue, except the bucket would be even bigger. The bucket would be even bigger if I had put this firewall in. Except maybe I would run the door panel beside it. I guess is what you're supposed to do. I really don't know, because what the heck is this all about? They don't show it in the instructions at all. So why is that even there? You know what I mean? Like, why is that there? Another thing I could do is I could trim that bucket out of there and just put a piece of styrene in there and make the wall flat. That's an option too. Just make that a flat wall, because there's no reason for it. There's no reason. I don't need that. Don't need that at all. In fact, that's what I'm going to do. Let's put this aside for now. I'm going to get rid of this little notch. Okay. Let's grab my sonic knife, or ultrasonic knife, sorry. My hand boost ultrasonic knife that my wife got me for Christmas, and I appreciate very much with all this resin stuff. Ramp that up to level 3, and let's just get to work on this. You can see what it's doing. It's just, I'm not giving it any motion at all. It's doing the motion for me. Here we go. Okay. Alright, let's see how that fits now. I'm going to save this because I want to keep that curvature for when I replace it. See, now I've got all this little bit of cured resin dust. Get rid of that. Okay. Now let's see how this fits. If it fits. It might fit now that I've cleaned that off. Yeah, it fits now. Perfect. So yeah, why they have that notch in there, I don't know, because it's not necessary at all to have to keep that notch. So when the time comes, I'll put a piece of styrene there and just plug up that hole, because, you know, sometimes you need to plug your holes. Not always. You don't always want to plug your holes, but sometimes you need to. So one last thing before I go, I want to test fit our dashboard. I just want to see my dashboard and how it's going to fit. Because the kit dashboard is supposed to go in somewhere around here, like this, something like this, and is supposed to have, basically get mounted to your roll cage and sit something like that. But I have my great big honkin' resin dashboard now. And so that's got to go in, and it's got to go in between our fenders, but it won't. Even though I've got a similar, it's actually skinnier than the kit one, but that doesn't fit in the kit one. This one has to fit in there. So I might be winding up notching this out here in order to fit in the kit. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to notch this part out and this part out here, and maybe straight up here, and across and out. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to get rid of my switches unless I have the dash moved over. If I have the dash moved over, I'm going to be cutting into my cushion here. But it doesn't really matter now, does it? Because I want to have that there, which would mean I'm cutting off like a good 2 or 3 millimeters of my cushions. You can see how much I would have to cut off, like right there. I don't really want to do that. I'm going to start off by cutting off, trimming that off, trimming this off, and see if I can keep this section. If I can keep that section, and I'll just trim this off, and we'll see how that looks. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to have to do some more cutting in that, and yeah, so unfortunately I didn't really get anything done today other than assembling the tires, right? But, well, I guess I got my door panels are on and my rear panels on, so I'm getting somewhere, but again, it's one of those, it's a slow process, right? And it's just the way it is. It's slow, and it's, yeah, slow going, and it's the way it is. Like I said, today was just a bit of test fitting to see what I need to do and all that fun stuff, and that's what you got to do when you're doing all this custom work, right? When you're putting all this custom stuff, you don't always get things that fit right. I still don't understand why they put this great big block in here on the firewall that makes it so things don't fit at all. Yeah, I don't know, guys. I don't know. Like I've seen in the forums and stuff like that, and on Facebook, this kit needs a lot of work, and that's just the way it is. That's this kit. Anyway, guys, I want to thank you for watching, and I want to thank you for joining me and following along on this little journey of custom stuff with my General Lee. And don't forget, down in the description box, of course, we've got links to my other things if you want to check those out. And, you know, hit the like button, leave a comment if you feel like. I love reading your comments. And don't forget to subscribe also. That would be really appreciated. Thanks, guys, again. And we'll see you all in the next one.